Hey guys, it's me, Gabriel, coming to you with your evening spark. So, your best friend, yourself. This is something that I think I'm still working on. I think as we all are, just as with any relationship that needs cultivating and that you grow continually. I think it's a fascinating thing that this prospect has come into my awareness in the past few months about being your own best friend, having the best relationship first with yourself. um, I think that's the whole essence of being content. you know the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, because you already are full, because you're already recognizing that you're whole, that you don't necessarily need someone to make you complete. And that's the big thing right there, is that um, you have to have your best relationship be with yourself. And then from that, the love you give is more of an extension of who you are. Because here's the thing I've noticed is that, like, for instance, like when you're upset and angry, a lot of times the reason it's as bad as it is due to the fact that we beat ourselves up. Self-pity, self-hate. We're attacking ourselves. So why would you want to have a relationship with someone who's doing that? Because here's the thing, the bottom line is, in your relationship with yourself, you have to be willing to accept and embrace yourself exactly as you are. Because here's the thing, the bottom line is, that's who you are, as you are, till death do you part. The chaff and the wheat, as it grows together, it's gonna grow together, and it's when the harvest comes that they're separated. That chaff being your humanness, your ego, that's put into the fire to be purified. And it's an ever continual refining, an ever continual burning, as it were, purifying, till one fine day we see ourselves as we should be. But during that process, the way like I've said before, the way you really defeat your ego, as it were, and the supposed devils within, isn't through attack and shame and hate, but through peace and love and joy and compassion unto ourselves. It shifts it from this scary, fearful thing to more of recognizing that your ego is just the culmination of all that hate and anger and fear that you've just built up over the many years of your life. And so it needs that compassion, it needs that love. Because then that can be the identity for which you express out to others, because that's what's really going to be it. That self-love that you have within yourself will be the self that you're giving. Because when you think, oh, I'm not enough, it's pretty much like saying you're in a relationship and you're committing adultery, where in the sense that you're not enough for me. Like, imagine being in a relationship and feeling that way with someone. And that's what's going to be the case when you feel like you need to have someone to make you complete, because you're never going to have that satisfaction, and you're never going to feel complete, and then that's going to be reflected onto them, and more times than not, that relationship isn't going to last. I can speak from experience. But that manner in which you see your brother, you will be that unto him, and he will be that unto you. So it's so important then for you to get yourself squared away. And to do that, it's not about, oh, you need to have this kind of job and work out 5 days a week and have this kind of diet and have this sort of financial plan and have a retirement fund. No, it's about being able to be secure within yourself, because you recognize that your greatest relationship is with yourself, so that you can be kind unto another. Because here's the thing, if when someone says something to you that may rankle or offend, or they may say something that may potentially lead to that, think of it like this, like, okay, somebody's saying something to someone in your relationship, and you're saying, no, that's not right. They're not this horrible person. And then you're talking to yourself internally, so to speak, and you're like, and your inner friend who's speaking unto you and saying, hey, no, you're not like that. Because here's the thing, It's not about what happens outside you that matters. It's what happens within that really matters. So having that inner voice, and really that voice, that inner friend, is the Holy Spirit. And he takes the form for which we need him to be, because he's the perfect teacher. So that inner friend that can be that one who's compassionate to you, and can really set the record straight. Because here's the thing: don't think it a silly, infantile thing to do, like a childish thing to do, to have to like visualize an individual, because it just helps for cognitive recognition. But that's just the thing. When you can do that, it really, I think, can make it easier. It can make your life, it can just make your life happier, I think. And then what happens is, when you do that, it reflects on how you see your brother. Because pretty much your friend is the lens for which you see your world. So you have yourself, then you have your inner friend, and if it's of the ego or the Holy Spirit, it's going to be the lens for which you see the world. So if you have compassion and love unto yourself, that's going to then act as a lens for which to see your brother, and it's going to then, he acts as a prism or a mirror that reflects back that which you have thus seen him as, based off of the manner for which you love yourself. Now that's pretty cool, and that shows how there's a lot of power and responsibility in the manner in which you perceive yourself and love yourself, but not in a narcissistic, egotistical manner, but in a very self-full and compassionate and caring way. And I think when we do this, taking this time to commit ourselves in that relationship of compassion and love, and I think when we do that, it really can help set us on the right way for better relationships with ourselves and with others, because it becomes a more extending love. And you start to realize just how much you matter and how much everyone else does as well. It's a very releasing feeling, and I think it can be very calming and at the same time very liberating. Because then you start to see, I don't need anything from my brother because I have my relationship with myself. And not in the sense of you're useless to me, but in the manner that I'm not trying to just get something out of you. I can look at you in a way that when I want to spend time with you or be with you, it's simply for the sake of company, not because I'm trying to have some ulterior mode or intent or goal. And I think that can be so secure and so releasing and liberating for the other person to know that they just want to be around me for the sake of being around me. And I think it makes people feel a lot more at ease and comfortable. And that accepting dynamic that you have within yourself will then help you be far more accepting of others. Because again, it's as you view others is but a reflection of how you view yourself. So it has to start from within. Don't worry about fixing others. It will come in relation to the manner in which you exemplify yourself, which is again, comes by the measure for which you live yourself. That's something I gotta do. Don't look at yourself as this mean, terrible person beating up on you. You have the power to shift that, to say, hey, you did your best. You did okay. You are still God's son, and he still loves you. That kind of dynamic. Let that be your friend. Let that be the person you come into a relationship with. There's a lot of work that still may need to be had, just like with any relationship. But I believe that it is worth the time and commitment for which to be able to live in that kind of way. That you don't have to keep seeking to be more, because who you're with is enough. Because you are enough. Okay, we're going to end it there. I'm so happy that you watched this and hung out with me for this time. How about for our question of the night, we'll go with what helps you be compassionate to yourself, and what kind of benefits have you noticed? Leave it in the comments below and let me know. And as always, thank you for stopping by, and we at the Wolfpack surely wish you well. Peace, friends.